Good evening, everyone. Please stand us for the, yeah, you know what I mean. Stand and join us for the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all for coming. Mr. Fafaglia and Ms. Scanlon are excused. Next item on the agenda, a moment of silence. Please join me in a moment of silence for Alfred G. Neisser, a retired employee of the North Syracuse Central School District, and Beverly J. Porter Norton, a graduate of the school district. Thank you. Presentation, 2018-20 District Goals. Ms. Speech. Kill the lights or something.
So, good evening. Tonight I'm going to talk about the district goals. And those of you that were on the board or in the audience back late fall, I believe I did a presentation on Vision 2020 and talked about our long-range planning process. So I'm not going to repeat a lot of that, just a little bit of a refresher, and then talk about where we're going with the goals extension. Am I not working? Oh. There we go. Okay, so in our contract with the NSCA, there has been long-standing, I would want to say 30-plus years language on participatory management, and the District Advisory Council that we refer to as DAC. In the makeup of that, and as you can see, it represents various stakeholder groups, including board members and students. And the language that's up there, the role of the District Advisory Council shall include development, implementation, and revision of the long-range plan on an annual basis. And so this is the group that works on long-range planning. This should look familiar to you because back in 2013, when we did our work to develop our mission and then our district goals, 5-year district goals, we came to the board, and in August of 2013, the board adopted the goals that are there. We're finding it hard to believe that we're already at 2018, but we have made some progress with this. So this year, the District Advisory Council, which typically meets 2 to 3 times a year, met on 6 occasions, and the task was to determine where to go next with our goals. So you can see the dates that those meetings were held. And during those meetings, during the period from September of 2017 to this past January, the meetings that took place, we reviewed data related to the current goals. We talked about high-yield instructional strategies related to the teachers' APPR evaluation process, and we looked at survey results, community and student survey results. The data from the high-yield instructional strategies was somewhat inconclusive because it's hard to compare data unless your data points stay consistent over time, and we've made several kinds of revisions to that APPR process. So the data was interesting, but it really didn't yield consistent performance or patterns over time because we changed so many variables and factors. The analysis of additional data, Donna Marie came and presented to the group, and you can see all the different things that we looked at with Donna Marie. From January to March, the focus was to take the district goals and come up with a way to align it to Vision 2020 and our focus areas. And I did provide the board members who were not with us this past school year with a copy of Vision 2020. I know everyone else has received a copy. And we did talk about that in the presentation that I did back at that time. But you can see the 8 different areas of focus, and we wanted our goals to align to those areas of focus because those are the things that we are concentrating on as a district. We also continue to talk about the principles, the sort of the foundation of the concepts that we tried to build off of that we started discussing back in 2013. And this should look familiar because it is in the Vision 2020 brochure, but it also talks about the high leverage themes and how it relates to our goals. So we felt as though all of those things were still important and heading us in the right direction. So a decision was made by the District Advisory Council, and I do want to mention that Alicia Pizzuto did a wonderful job of leading us through all of this work, and we did have some board member participation. So I know Paul was there, and I know Mike was there for some of the meetings. So some of you are familiar with how this all unfolded, but it was pretty in-depth discussions. And the decision was made to keep the main goal areas the same wording. So those are the same main goal areas that were from the 2013-2018, and we want to continue to build off of those. So that brings us to the spring. From April to June, the last meetings that we had was discussion on now how do we expand each goal so that we can make them very student-centered and easier, I don't want to say easier to measure, but more likely to be able to measure the success over time. And so there was a lot of brainstorming and discussion of the language to illustrate each goal. And a lot of collaboration and finalization of the wording. So this is just an example of the activity that we went through to kind of work that and talk through it, and what Alicia had the group do when we looked at congruency, clarity, and responsibility, and how are we going to assign indicators of success. And this kind of just also illustrates some of the work that Alicia did with the group, the feedback in the work groups, and then DAC reviewed the goals, and they're going to be looking at the benchmarks throughout the times that they meet in the future. But we bring you in tonight because in order for us to move further, we do need the board to adopt these goals. So what happens next? So in April and June, the District Advisory Council should review the district goals and then finalize those goals. That's what we did this spring. So the plan is that district-level teams in each of the priority areas, if these goals are adopted, will take a look at the priority area that they're assigned, and between now, after the board adopts these, and the first District Advisory Council meeting in the fall, we are asking them to give us sort of an outline of their action plan. So let me just kind of give you an example. There's 8 different focus areas, as you know, and we're at very different places with those areas. For example, inclusive education, we're a little bit further along because we're, we've been working on that for about 3 years. And so in terms of documenting the action plan, the intent is to even go back and document how we studied it, the time frame for that, where we are now, and where we're going to continue to go with it. And you take some of the other focus areas, we're not as far along, but we're going to ask those district-level teams, because there's groups working on each of those 8 areas, to put this plan together. And then that would become part of the long-range plan. And with that, they will also identify what are our measurement tools for each of those. What are we going to look at? And then the intent is that the District Advisory Council will meet in October and May. If we need a third meeting, fine. But Alicia told me to mention that we're not going to meet 6 or 7 times again this year. Kind of joking there. But once this plan is in place, really the District Advisory Council's main purpose is to monitor that, and we will have specific ways of measurement. So this is what the document looks like. It's kind of hard to read, but I wanted you to get a visual. And we do still have the mission statement on there, and we've got, our vision work kind of condensed there at the bottom. Okay, perfect. So, as Don said, this does show you in a more readable format. And you do have it also attached because tonight under discussion action, we are going to be asking you to adopt these goals, and so you do have like a cleaner copy of this there as well. But the main, 1, 2, and 3, the main goals are the same, but there really is an emphasis there on how students are going to benefit from the work in these areas, as you can see. Questions about the process or the goals or how it relates to Vision 2020 and our overall plan? I just want to add, and I will put in this week's Friday letter, it's amazing to see the work that's being done throughout the summer, the number of professional development offerings, and even today we met with the middle school building planning teams, and tomorrow we're meeting with the elementary, and then in September we're targeted to do the secondary and Main Street. And really all of the work that we're doing, you can really see is based on the 8 focus areas and where we're going with this. So I feel as though things are more focused than they have been in the past. So we're excited about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Annette. Next item, comments from the audience. We have nobody who signed up. 4A, Board of Education, Committee Reports, Comments. The one thing on here will be the action to approve the committees for this coming year. I thank everybody for volunteering. Everybody got their first choice. I think everybody their second who requested one. Terry was kind enough to say, put me where you need me, and there were spots we needed you. So, again, appreciate everything, especially the chairman, who are both absent tonight, and the new folks as well. So thank you very much, and we'll... do you want this motion right now, Connie? Okay, so I will accept the motion to approve the committee assignments as shown. Mr. Harrington, Ms. Kruger, all in favor? There we go. Thank you all for serving. Anything else? Board comments? Anybody do anything exciting? No? Like me. Superintendent's comments. I know, Annette, you wanted to address a couple things.
Yes, I do have a couple things. So the penalty situation, I did say that we would be giving updates, and unfortunately I don't really have anything more to report other than we're still optimistically waiting for the governor to sign. I was aware that Channel 9 did have a conversation with Assemblyman Sturpey again last week, who indicated that he has every reason to believe the governor is going to sign this. We're just patiently waiting and trying to find out when, so we will keep people up to date. I want to mention, as you walk the hallways here, we usually have student artwork displayed or writing work or things that involve students. And this is the second summer that we started what's become a little bit of a tradition. Our last administrative team meeting in June is a reflection and celebration meeting. And all of the administrators came prepared to share evidence of good accomplishments and celebratory kinds of things that happen in their buildings or with their departments. And so as you walk the hall later, kind of take a look, because this is the second year we did it, so they knew what to expect, and some people really went to great lengths to collect things over the year, and it's really quite kind of a nice reflection on all the good things that happened in our buildings and departments this past year. Okay, we want to talk a little bit about the pool.
Right.
So, as you know, the board passed a resolution at our last meeting allowing King and Watchdog to do some pricing out in terms of specifics on what this pool might cost prior to coming back to you and then deciding, if and when we put it out to the voters. And so they gave us some preliminary information that basically says, because we asked them to price out 6-lane and 8-lane. And the feeling was, for the difference in the square footage and the difference in what the cost is likely to be, you get so much more use out of an 8-lane pool than you would a 6-lane. And so we put something in last week's Friday letter mentioning that our recommendation would really be to tell them only focus on costing out the 8-lane because it really makes more sense if we decide to do this. So I just wanted to throw that out there and, mention that. And if anybody has questions or concerns, we can certainly revisit that. But at this point, we've said to them, focus on the 8-lane. Did you want?
I think the comment came from Kirk is, it's 14 feet, I believe, is the width of the pool. And that extra, the extra width, and that is really not significant in terms of you got to build a whole big building anyway. To make that pool 14 feet wider is not significantly expensive, but what a difference in the ability to use it. There are other things you can do with it besides our own use. So that makes sense to rather than have them take the time to do both, just do the 8 and go from there. The other piece is the soil testing, I believe. And Don, I know you had the conversation with Kirk about wanting to get in there and get that ground tested, get the borings done, and see what they're really into when they finally, if and when they put a shovel in the ground. No, structural, yeah. And I think John Ward's comments, we don't know what's there because in previous construction, who knows what got dumped in that piece of ground. So it's a good idea to get all this done because we need to start the seeker process. And the other is the timeline that if this thing is going to come to a vote, at the earliest, it's probably going to be February, March before we could even get there. So at this point, at least they've got the process underway. They can get the information they need. Let's see where they go. Okay.
I have one last thing that I want to mention. The stage behind us for years, 20-plus years, has really been not able to be used. It was a collection of kind of stuff that we didn't know what to do with. And I believe the idea came in a conversation from Marilyn Nandon, who's my secretary that many of you know, about what a great workspace that could become. And so when we're finished tonight, I'm going to ask you to take a peek up those stairs. It has been turned into a literacy lounge where professional development conversations can take place, people can go and work. I have made the comment that if you can't find me, maybe I'm going to just take my laptop up there and get some work done. But I want people to see it. It's really quite impressive how people pull together with really creative ideas using secondhand stuff for the most part. So I'd like you to take a look at it.
Thank you.
We're working on it, right? We're working on it.
Okay, routine action items. 5A, consideration of approval of the minutes of the annual organizational meeting of the Board of Education of July 9, 2018, and the regular meeting of the Board of Education of July 9, 2018. B, consideration of classification and placement of preschool disabled students certified by the District Committee on Preschool Special Education. And C, acknowledgement of the business office reports for May 2018. I'll entertain a motion to take 5A, B, and C as a group. Mr. D'Onofrio, Ms. McDonald, all in favor. Discussion action items. 6A, recommendation to adopt the 2018-20 district goals as presented. Okay, so it's that last page really that was up on the screen that are those district goals. There are no questions. I'll entertain the motion to approve those goals as presented. Anybody? Ms. Kruger? Mr. Harrington? All in favor? Carried. Now we've got some additional positions that were explained in the Friday letter. Recommendation to create a 1.0 FTE teacher on special assignment, behavioral specialist at Roxborough Road Middle School. C, recommendation to create a 1.0 FTE special education teacher at Lakeshore Road Elementary School. A 1.0 FTE elementary teacher at Allen Road Elementary School. A 1.0 FTE elementary teacher at Cicero Elementary School. And a 1.0 FTE licensed practical nurse at Smith Road Elementary School. D, recommendation to create a 1.0 FTE teaching assistant at Gillette Road Middle School and 2.0 FTE teaching assistants at Roxborough Road Elementary School. Annette or Jason, anything else you want to explain or comment on those? E, acknowledgement of a gift. That's the Cork Federal Credit Union has donated $500 to the district to be used for the North Syracuse Junior High School hot dog roast on August 22. And I'm all in favor of that. So, yes.
I just thought it's definitely worth noting and mentioning the teacher on special assignment, the behavior specialist, is funded by Bullet Aid from Assemblyman Sturpey. And it's at this point, it's a one-year position, grant position. So we thank him for that. He's done this, I think this is 3 years now, and we've added on instructional coaches or teachers on special assignment that we have then been successful in terms of rolling into the budget. So we thank him for this opportunity.
F, amendment of the 2018-19 textbook list. 2 more textbooks being added. Art Talk and Hidden Figures for art and English 8 and 9. Retirements. I know there's one if it comes up. Yeah. Donna DeFulvio, a speech teacher at Main Street School, retires with 37 and a half years of service, and we wish her long, happy, and healthy retirement. So I'll entertain a motion for 6B, C, D, and E, and F as a group. Mr. Maurizio, Mr. D'Onofrio, all in favor. Personnel report, A, instructional, B, support staff, C, administrative. Any questions, any need for discussion of any of those? Kind of a short list. Entertain a motion for 7A, B, C as a group. Ms. Kruger, Ms. McDonald, all in favor. Motion for executive session. Motion to move into executive session for the purpose of receiving an update on 2 legal matters relative to potential litigation and to review the employment record of 1 individual with no action to follow. Motion, please. Mr. Maurizio, Mr. D'Onofrio, all in favor. So we will go to executive session, 7:23. Thank you.